Because if you're a DP candidate and you speak like NUP, then they say, why should we get the copy? Let's get the original. So none of us spoke like NRM. We knew we were in partnership with NRM, but we never spoke like NRM. We spoke like DP. But they were here in the central region of Uganda. The DP candidates were competing with the NUP on how much they hate Museveni and the NRM. So they said, we know the Kavule people can do it better than you, if that's what it is about. So they voted rightly for the Kavule people. If I'm a priest and I'm trying to compete with a witch doctor, then people say, yeah, then I think the witch doctor is the real deal. They will vote for the witch doctor in Okusamira. Because when you are holding Holy Communion and a wine glass and holding a Bible, and yet you are claiming to be a witch doctor, then they said, we must now have this one, even as a shrine, and all those gadgets of witch doctors. So let us pick up the lessons and move on. What matters? Everybody must pick their own lessons. It is unfortunate that we could not keep our promise, because our promise was based on a promise made to us by the Uganda government, a promise of funding. At one point, I even had to make an executive decision to go into borrowing. So that is my reflection on our experience. In Kampala, for the first time, we had a candidate for the position of Lord Mayor who gave the party a lot of visibility. Again, because of the narrow-minded politics that I talked about, many of the councillors did not want to move with our DP candidate for Lord Mayor, just because she has the last name Mao. So they would say, but she went into the entire city telling them that I'm not here to explain the cooperation agreement. I'm just here to tell you that you are not doing well under Lukwago. And that has nothing to do with Mao signing an agreement with President Museveni. So wake up and stop being stupid first and foremost. Be intelligent. Your roads are not well done. You don't have schools. Your markets have been given away to politicians. The market women have to sell on the pavements. Rent is too high. You, the traders, they are charging you in dollars. Those are the issues. But now you want to debate political cooperation between two political parties. First, you are not qualified to debate that topic. Secondly, it is irrelevant. It is now, if you go to my village and people are analyzing Russia and Ukraine, of what benefit is analyzing Russia and Ukraine war when all you need is fertilizer and good seeds and affordable tractors to come and plow your garden so you can pay fees to your children who hopefully will go to the UN and debate Ukraine and Russia? But you at your level, of what benefit is Russia and Ukraine? So you find a villager wasting all his time in the morning debating who is going to win between Russia and Ukraine. So our candidate for Lord Mayor was able to do what is called committing class suicide. Despite living in London for over 30 years, she was like any common person in this city. She went to the markets, and she hasn't stopped. In fact, she's already doing what I've called everybody to do. Even today, she's going to the villages, distributing the balance of T-shirts she had printed. The other day, she was busy distributing sugar and soap to the elderly, which none of the so-called winners have even done. I saw the winner of the Lord Mayor race that now is meeting people from New York. on nice sofas. I mean, let us live like the real Uganda. Do you people know what the real Uganda is like? I think we are deceiving ourselves. She has ordered gloves. I think tomorrow a cargo plane is bringing thousands of gloves for the women who sweep the streets. Because these women are touching things which are giving them infections. That's what she discovered, and she's responding. She said, I can afford this. Let me bring the gloves. I may not be the Lord Mayor, but if I can give 15,000 gloves for the women who sweep the streets, that's okay. They don't even have to vote for me, but at least I will have done something good for my city. That's why her slogan was, your city, your say. But at least the pressure the DP candidate put led to the eviction of Areas Lukwago, which is a good thing. In fact, Kampala, on the day that he lost, Kampala improved tremendously. Because Kampala needs leadership, not someone who is a specialist in mourning. So now, the DP brand is back in the city. The other candidates of DP didn't have any manifesto. Our only disappointment is the mystery of where the NRM candidate got the votes. Do you people even know the NRM candidate? I've not seen him in any media house. I don't even know what his issues are. But somehow, some votes were genetically manufactured for him, and he ends up as the number 2 candidate. He never held any events. So definitely his votes must have come from some mysterious source. So DP has a duty to come back to Kampala and fight for this city. When DP was in charge of Kampala, the ordinary people thrived in this city. Rent was not being charged in dollars. But now you ended up with a Lord Mayor who pays allegiance to the rich, those who want prime plots of land. So DP must go back to its politics of talking about real problems of real people. And that is how we shall win. And I believe that's how some of us were able to win. Because we went down to the grassroots with a lot of humility and started addressing the real issues. I wish to console those who put up a big fight but still lost. The candidate for Aswa in Gulu district, this was his 4th attempt. He started standing in 2011, he lost. 2016, he lost. 2021, he lost. This time, he was able to make it. So, and I've never heard him complaining. So take responsibility if you want to win next time. He was able to win on his 4th attempt. My daughter Sarah here, this was her 2nd attempt. And I'll use you as an example. Prepare to fight again. In Namilyango, one of our major sports was boxing. And boxing is a merciless sport. Because when you enter the ring, the person who is there in the ring with you, his job is to give you pain. And he can inflict it on your jaws, on your forehead, or your stomach. He can box your ear and you fall down. And you see the roof of the boxing ring turning like this. That is when you hear the words of the coach saying, fight one more round. The big matches are 15 rounds. Others may be 3. My first attempt in that boxing ring in Namilyango, which we used to call the pyramid, the first round was hell for me. First, they got a person who was much bigger than me, and he really gave me bad company. What saved me was that one of my gloves was torn, so it had a sharp edge. And when I sent a blow, it scratched him, so he started bleeding. So the match was stopped on a technicality. And I was declared the winner on a technical knockout. I don't think I was going to win that one. But not everybody is as lucky as Mao. I have my 9 lives. Others don't have the 9 lives of Mao. So the election was a big test for our partnership with the NRM. And it showed that it seems only President Museveni values the partnership. The majority of his leaders don't seem to value the partnership. As you know, I also faced stiff competition from an incumbent member of parliament who was heavily funded. I also faced opposition in the constituency by an NRM candidate. And then there was another candidate, our former vice chairman of the party, who decided to join UPC. This morning when I came here, I told my colleagues that how would they have felt if the party president had been defeated in a parliamentary election. Then they told me that you should not forget that many party presidents lost parliamentary elections. The party president of the Democratic Front lost parliamentary election. The party president of JEMA lost parliamentary election. The party president of FDC lost parliamentary elections. So yeah, the party president of NUP lost at a very high level.
PFF.
The party president of PFF also lost the position of Lord Mayor of Kampala. So my colleagues were consoling me that I would not be alone in the losers' lounge, that I would have very good company. But Gulu is where I come from. Gulu is what made me. I went into the campaign to go back to my roots. So despite those challenges, we were able to defy the false prophets who had said that DP was going to be relegated and would not even qualify to join IPOD. and that we would not even get a single member of parliament. Unfortunately, those false prophets claimed to be DP. They assured us that we were not going to have a single seat in parliament. I can share with you my own experience of the campaign. I left parliament 20 years ago, and I'm returning 20 years later. The people who were born when I was last in parliament are now the voters. And when they hear the name Norbert Mao, they wonder what he really means. They don't relate to him at all. People tell them about the peace talks in Juba, and they say, well, what about them? We are not in school. That's what we care about. We don't care whether you walked 16 miles to the forests of Garamba in Congo. We don't care how hard you fought for the amnesty law. We don't care about your fights for multi-party democracy. We don't even care about your fights against corruption as a young MP. So I had to be very humble and accept that the ground had shifted. In short, I collided with what you would call a new curriculum. The political curriculum has changed completely. And the Democratic Party and all political parties and all candidates have got to campaign differently. We cannot campaign the way our founders campaigned in the 60s. We now have voters who relate more to TikTok celebrities than men and women of solid ideas. We now have an electorate that can change their vote for 2,000 shillings on election day. We now have an electorate that can change their vote for a piece of soap and half a kilo of sugar. I'm glad I went into the contest because I realized that I was out of touch with the real people, the real Ugandans. So to my colleagues, whether you won or lost, I think it is important to reflect on the real things you found there. I've been seeing the discussions on our party platforms. Others are fuming at the secretariat. Others are fuming at the party president. Others are blasting the party. That's not how you will win in 2031. That's if you still want to be a member of parliament or to be elected. You can blame anybody. Everybody was fighting. Even your president was fighting for his political life. And I can assure you, I had more opposition than all of you combined. The benefit of the others. And I want to be very, very truthful. Because in DP, people lie about us, but for us, we don't tell lies. There has been rumors flying around that I have ambitions to be Speaker. Now, between President and Speaker, which position is more powerful? Now, you all know that I have ambitions to be President of Uganda. And I've even stood for it. And I even keep repeating that I have not abandoned my presidential ambition. And I want to state here that my main goal is to lead Uganda because I think I have the unique combination of qualities that can unify this country. Because I myself am Uganda made simple. I studied in the East, grew up here in Central. My mother is from the West, my father is from the North. I'm probably the only prospective president who speaks fluently Bantu languages and Nilotic languages, bridging the North-South divide. Why would Ugandans want to miss that opportunity? Somebody who can go to Sinjiro and say, I'm going home. Somebody who can go to Gulu and say, I'm going home. Now, even before my father died, he had found for us another mother from Teso. Because when our mom died, my father found for us another mother from Serere. So now I go to Serere and I'm at home. I go to Busoga and I'm at home. Here in Buganda, they are my in-laws. The other day you heard the Katikiro saying, now I'm his father. Because he said that my wife is his mother. So if now I'm the husband of your mother, then I'm your father. Anyway, jokes aside, he said that because his mother is from the Ngabi clan, where my wife comes from. So, I'm a pragmatic nationalist. I have nobody's blood on my hands. For all the things I'm accused of, you know, when I read the attacks on Twitter and other social media, and I ask myself, do these Ugandans even know what they want? DP wants to offer a bridge to the future for Ugandans. And it's up to Ugandans to either accept it or start again these snakes and ladders. So, now you know my main ambition. The idea of the speakership race has been in the media. Somebody picked a photo that was based on a screenshot of an NTV news item that Mao has won the Laro Peche. And then also another one from NBS. And then they said Mao has declared his intention to contest for the position of speaker. Then they said this will be the hottest race. I can assure you, I'm not the source of that kind of thing. I've never been afraid to announce any position I'm interested in. But there's a lot of goodwill whenever my name is mentioned in relation to that position of speaker. I feel it when I move on the streets, and the Democratic Party cannot ignore that goodwill, and neither can I ignore that goodwill. Because when people meet you and they say, Osanide, and these are people who have previously been actually attacking me. I'm meeting people from groups that have been very hostile to me. And they are all of a sudden saying, we need to talk, we need to talk. I think there are a number of reasons. You do remember that despite Ugandans being stubborn, but they also can recognize certain qualities when they choose it. When the late Olanya died, I remember Andrew Mwenda said, somebody should resign their parliamentary seat so that Mao can go to parliament in a by-election. Now, there is a hunger in the country for a more accountable parliament. Now, whether I can fulfill that hunger is another matter. But that nyonta is there. There is that thirst. I think citizens want a people's house. People remember the unfinished term of the late Jacob Olanya, who by accident happened to have been my very close friend, of course. So somehow I'm the nearest to him. I'm the one who reminds them the most of him. I'm not him, of course. I'm not, and I'll never be. But sometimes you may have a person who reminds you of someone. And that has put me in direct conflict with people who believe in ring fencing positions. But I'm not the one to blame for citizens saying Mao should be speaker. I've not even said anything about that position. But there's this outpouring of goodwill by people who want Parliament to have institutional power as opposed to personal power. So what am I doing about this goodwill? I think that's what you need to know. Number one, I qualify. Actually, that open to any MP. So I have the minimum qualification. Now, apart from the minimum qualification, people look at the education of a speaker. They look at the experience of somebody who should be a speaker. They look at the skills, the special skills that a speaker should have. Then, of course, you look at the connections, local and international. Those are all attributes. Now, a speaker must belong to the parliament, not to anybody else. Because that's why they say the Speaker of Parliament. So the Speaker heads an organ. The day that Jacob Olanya died, we were in Seattle with the current Speaker. I went to her hotel room because we were staying in the same hotel. So I told her, you are the Deputy Speaker. According to the rules of Parliament, if the position of Speaker is vacant, there can be no other business apart from election of Speaker. So I told her, by God's grace, you are going to ascend to that position. Go there with all humility, knowing that in normal times, but for the death of the Speaker, you would be Speaker in 2031. Now the clock has been brought forward. But go for it, because you are the deputy. As we went into the campaigns, the rumors started flying. First, people said, why do you think Mao is going back to Parliament? They don't assume that I can also be an MP. They want to know why I am going back to Parliament. Then they say, but you know, NRM and DP are in partnership. So NRM can support a DP candidate for speaker, the way they supported our candidate for Iala. Then those who wanted to cause more turmoil started spreading rumors that I have actually decided to contest for position of speaker. I want you to know that we even had a conversation about that with the speaker, and I told her that if ever the time has come for me to make that announcement, I'll do it myself. The moment I was declared as a member of parliament elect, I started getting calls from many of the elected members of parliament urging me to contest for the position of speaker. So what does an intelligent person do? Because the NRM has the majority of members of parliament, and it is only natural that the majority party should provide the speaker. So right now, I'm carrying out consultations about that prospect. And we will also meet the leadership of the NRM, including the president, and talk openly about it. After all, everything we are doing is for Uganda. You are a speaker of Uganda. You are not a speaker for yourself. Fortunately, where I come from, we also gave the president serious votes. More than 80% on average. So this time we have a claim on the political cake. There's the national cake, which means roads, bridges, electricity, schools, health facilities. That is they call it the national cake. Whether you have voted for the winner or not, you are entitled to it. But the political cake is based on how many votes you brought. And this time, in where I come from, the vote jumped from 44% to over 80%. And I was instrumental in shaping that narrative. I have always been the one scattering the president's votes in that area. This time I was the one gathering it. So I'm sure he will also take that into consideration as we carry out our consultations. And so the decision of who will be speaker is highly political, and there are many interested parties. So a day is a very long time in politics. We are still in today is the 3rd of February. The elections are in May. So nobody should take anything for granted. Even me, I cannot take anything for granted. The Baganda say, "Chotanalia toche sunga." So I cannot claim this or that, but I can only claim that we must put the national interest first. But also we must not tear apart the country because of a position. I can repeat what I've said in Uganda.